Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocketradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
And a good morning to you. It is time for Coffee Ann here on ON Radio. We thank you for joining us. It's Monday morning. No, it's not. It's Thursday morning, isn't it?
Thursday morning.
It's Thursday morning. It's December 14th as we keep moving closer and closer to Christmas. All right. This is Joe Callahan. That's Bob Lauder. Good morning to you, Bob.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Good to have you here. We expect Sue Tessier-McKenzie from the Blackstone Valley Call and Times to be joining us. And a little later on, we've been told that John Pagliarini, the tax assessor for the city of Woonsocket, will be joining us probably around 8:30. So if you have any questions for the tax assessor, save it up till then.
Please tell him I live in Blackstone.
No, that would be lying, Bob.
Oh, yes, it would.
We cannot have that. But we expect John to be here about 8:30 or so. Comments and questions can always be called in at 766-1240, like this one that was called in. It just says, officials report. Oh, no, I got to save this till later. All right, we'll get back to this in a minute.
I can ask you something else, though.
All right, go ahead, Bob.
Okay.
What do you think?
You mentioned in the news broadcast that Senator Markey of Massachusetts was introducing a bill to try and regulate artificial intelligence.
Yes.
I would think that that is going to be extraordinarily difficult.
Oh, I would,
and I'll give you an
say so.
example why. Last night, I was talking with my daughter, and we were talking about artificial intelligence, and she knows that back in the day, I used to collect stamps. So she's on her computer, and she says to whatever the artificial intelligence unit is that she's talking to, make up a poem, including philately, my dad, X, Y, and Z. Within less than 4 seconds,
it has
wham,
yeah.
there is a poem, and it's not bad. And it's like, wow,
Yeah.
the machine can do it. And then she says, okay, let's pretend something else. Let's pretend that my dad has interest in collecting sea sponges. Make up limericks involving my dad, and within, again, 4 seconds, it has like five or six limericks that they make sense on a subject that you wouldn't expect it would be easy to find.
Yeah.
So it's amazing what that stuff can come up with and how quickly.
It is. And like you said, Ed Markey wants assurances that artificial intelligence does not violate civil rights. I don't know who he wants the assurances from.
I have no
I guess the company.
idea.
He's filed legislation mandates federal agencies monitor the use of AI to avoid discrimination. Markey's concerned that AI and facial recognition could cause racial, gender, and other biases. So
I think you also run into a serious problem of freedom of speech. And also, it seems a little bit like Big Brother watching you, because if they're monitoring what AI is creating and sending to you, doesn't that sort of seem like spying on your privacy? I'm concerned about where this is entirely going. It doesn't seem realistic to me, and it does seem to have some problems with freedom of speech and overintelligence on your own character and what you're looking at.
Well, it's only a matter of time before we all become part of the world turns into the Terminator movie, and the machines just take over, and they realize, hey, we don't need humans, and they start killing us. So that was the premise of the movie, by the way.
Okay, this old age stuff is starting to have more attraction than I thought it was.
All right, how about that story? The story out of Massachusetts, Bob. And is there a lawsuit waiting? I don't know if you heard about it yesterday, but there's a mom and a daughter, and the daughter's about 40 some odd years old now, and the mom had the daughter like 40 years ago, but she was having trouble getting pregnant, and she went to Boston IVF in vitro fertilization. And she was told there that, okay, you'll be inseminated by this, an anonymous donor, but he has these characteristics. He was young, he was a medical resident and things like that. And they said, okay, she becomes pregnant, the child grows up, wants to find out a little bit more about her DNA, so she sends her DNA off to those companies that do that, 23andMe, and it comes back and finds out her father is not the resident doctor that she thought it would be. It was the guy, allegedly, that ran Boston IVF at the time. He used his own sample.
There was a case down in one of the southern states, I think a few years back, where a doctor was using his
This is
own
a,
right,
This is a doctor up here too. Yeah.
and it was with a number of patients. It wasn't just with one. I believe he was held liable, and yes, I would think.
Oh,
that
there
this,
is a okay.
This is not the first time around for this particular kind of complaint.
I don't know what they signed, but if you say, okay, I want an anonymous donor,
Right.
well, wouldn't the doctor then be an anonymous donor?
Yes, would, but at the same time, I think you run into some ethical problems with a medical practitioner who would be deceiving a patient. Yeah.
All right. Well, I know they're looking to. They've got lawyers and stuff, and they're gonna. I think they want money.
Yeah.
So
The dramatic
yeah.
entrance and gorgeous again. Wow.
I'm gonna have to get my strut going on.
Every time you come in, you're dressed
To the
nicely.
nines,
It's
yes.
really great.
That's Sue Tesser McKenzie, Blackstone Valley Calling Times, has joined
morning.
us. We'll let you get
Get seated.
unhinged like this.
Unhinged.
But what's funny,
it's
Bob?
gonna take a lot more than walking in here to get me unhinged.
What's funny, Bob, is my my wife and I went through that whole in vitro fertilization 18 years ago, 19
Oh.
years ago.
Yeah.
Now we didn't use an anonymous donor; it was me and her, so we
Right.
didn't have this issue. But we've always joked with our daughter that I'm not her real father; that her real father is the doctor from the fertility clinic.
I think
And
I
then-
hold back on that
and then
one.
this story broke. I was like, maybe we should stop joking about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, well, maybe you should be. The doctor's got a lot more money than me.
Right.
How are you, Sue?
Oh, just dandy.
Just Danny, everything wonderful, everything great.
Ready for
Everything's
Christmas?
all sunshine and canoes,
What?
sunshine
I
and
don't even know
rainbows,
how to
I should
answer
say.
all these questions. Doing okay.
All right,
Last
okay.
night was a bit of fiasco at my house between the toilet clogging.
All right.
Then I spilt an entire glass of water in the freezer,
Oy.
which means you have to empty everything out,
Yeah.
clean everything off, so
Before
on.
it all freezes.
As I was doing that, I managed to knock down a Christmas ornament that fell because my whole house is decorated for Christmas.
All right.
So I dropped an ornament, hitting it with the freezer door onto the pantry floor. Then I turned around, ready to throw in the literal towel, and I walked into the living room and my tree lights are out.
All of them?
All
Wow.
of them. So now I'm just like, okay, I'm kind of done. I'm kind of done. My husband was awake, and that can be challenging some days. And so I was like, okay, it's time for bed. Let me deal with all of this. But yeah.
I thought it'd be time for a real good glass of wine and to sit in the corner and
Oh,
just.
well, I'm eggnog during December.
Oh, great.
Oh, same stuff.
Yep,
A
yep.
little,
I'm an eggnog girl in December.
straight, or do you add a little something extra
Oh,
to it?
well, first of all, I buy it already with the extra. Let's avoid the
Oh, all
middleman.
right. We're not heading to Stop and Shop. We're heading to
No, I
another
avoid the
store.
middleman.
Okay. They know how to mix it themselves. All right. What do you think about this doctor in Boston that may have not up on the story?
No,
No. Okay.
I usually am, but again, with everything going on, I haven't really been sitting and watching the news.
All right. Well, just a couple. They live up in Maine now. A woman goes to this fertility clinic in Boston IVF. She wants to have a child, so she says she's going to be impregnated by an anonymous donor. But they were told what the genetics were going to be. He was, I don't know, in his 20s. It was 6'3", and it was blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out they were alleging because the daughter that was born out of this sent her DNA off to 23andMe to find out
Yep.
more. Come to find out, they say that the father is really the doctor that ran the clinic. And so now Bob says, yeah, they have a real good, they got a good claim here for
Yeah.
to go after them. So
I mean, I can't even, because that you all automatically have to remove yourself from.
well, you would think so.
Well, even if he was
ethically,
a
you know?
donor, I
Yeah.
mean, you're not supposed to be a donor
Right.
under those circumstances. So, yeah, that's not good.
Not good at all. So,
Wow.
so that was one of the bigger stories out of.
But that's with
Massachusetts
those
yesterday.
DNA tests and everything else can have some really good outcomes, I'm sure. But I'm sure there are a number of untold stories like
Like
that
this one, yeah, where you're like, Surprise.
Yeah,
And not in a good way.
right. I'm shocked 'cause I think about that,
Yeah.
and it's like,
I've told you the story about my wife.
I
My
think
wife,
so.
French-Canadian heritage, goes back to, she's traced the family back into the 1750s or something in Canada. We go on our honeymoon years and years ago. We go to northern France. Everybody looks like her family.
Really?
She has her DNA done. It comes back. It says something like 35% Iberian Peninsula and 45% Irish. So we call her Juanita Bridget now. I mean, it's. I think they may have been a little bit wrong.
Well, maybe.
But-
I don't know. But the 23andMe did a TV commercials a few years ago. The guy kept saying how he was so thrilled with his Scottish background.
Yeah.
And then he did 23andMe. He goes, he's not Scottish at all. He's really German.
oh wow,
Had to trade in the kilt and everything for the lederhosen.
wow.
Now, that was a TV commercial. They probably made the whole thing up, but it's still pretty. You just never know.
You don't.
Well, actually, Gene had it done a few years later.
Yeah.
It came back what you expect of mostly northern France.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the other thing going on in Massachusetts yesterday, and the mayor of Boston, she's defending herself because she had a holiday party yesterday on Wednesday, and only elected officials of color were invited.
Okay.
The Boston Herald reports that the invitation to the party addressed to electeds of color was sent to all councilors on Tuesday, with a correction issued 15 minutes later. Before the party at the Parkman House last night, Wu said there are several holiday parties being held this month that include some where all councilors are invited. But I just can't imagine if this was the other way around. We're only inviting the white councilors to the party, or the white elected officials, and what would happen?
It seems a little bit awkward, and I'd start off by wondering who is funding the party. If the party is being funded by the city itself through municipal funds, then I think she has a real big problem that way.
All right.
If it's funded by her personally, I think she has a major publicity problem because it's going to look racist in one regard or another. And I'd also question whether or not it was really done or if it was some kind of computer error or somebody joking and it went out, or what their motivation was. It just seems really awkward and stupid.
Any thoughts on that, Sue?
Well, I am mind boggled with why you would eliminate a group based on, anything like,
Yeah.
Whether it's religion, color. There's no comprehension. I can see inviting everybody from the council because it's a specific
Yeah.
holiday party for that, but not of color.
What do you think?
Well, she didn't come out and say, "Oh, this was a mistake that I meant to invite everybody," and ended up not. So she's actually saying, "No, it looks like she intended to do this, but don't worry, we're gonna have another party on another day, and everybody can come." Well,
Separate but equal.
Won't that be
But
great? That's right.
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Hasn't she
it's-
remembered 1956 or anything like that?
Oh, she's way too young. She doesn't remember 1956 at
Yeah,
all.
that doesn't even.
Mayor Wu. Yeah.
Doesn't even. There's nothing that comes to my mind that would. I can't even think of the word. Like require that to happen.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So I don't know why she thought this was a good idea.
I
If she
think it
went and
was
said,
a
well, I don't know what the
extremely
problem
bad
is.
idea.
I invited all the African Americans and all the Asians. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah, I don't see
I don't know.
anything at all.
All right, so that's what happened up in Boston. So back down here in Rhode Island, of course, the big story, of course, is the bridge on 195, and they're hoping, fingers crossed, everybody, that the westbound side will be able to travel on the eastbound side of the bridge this coming weekend. And they're hoping that'll relieve some of the incredible backups that have happened. Will it happen? Well, we'll have to see. It's all up to the engineers that are looking at this thing.
And now they've closed off some of the, I don't know, we'll say smaller streets in the East Providence area.
That people were
That
using
were
for
people were-
alternate routes.
do-
Why are
yeah.
they closing them off?
Well, they're not safe for all this traffic in
I
some
see.
cases.
All
It's just not safe. When you're in a residential area and you have all these cars sitting there. People couldn't even get out of their own driveways
Yeah.
because nobody was letting
Let
them
him out.
go. So it had to do with that. I mean, if you're just like even in Cumberland, there are many, many shortcuts in Cumberland.
Yeah.
But what they've done is they put speed bumps
Yeah.
for those that took it for the sole purpose of racing through.
Okay.
So it's kind of on that idea. You can't, for there, you can't stop them from doing it, but at least we're going to slow you down. And it's kind of putting the cart before the horse. No time to put speed bumps in East Providence right about now. So.
No. All right, more on this is coming up, but we do got to take a break here in the Coffee and program, so please stick around. Comments and questions can be called in at 766-1240.
Did you know you can shop local this holiday season?
And ski and ride free till December 24th.
Shop at Mountainside Ski and Ride at Wachusett Mountain.
Spend $100 or more and get a free lift ticket good through Christmas Eve.
Located in the Wachusett Beach Lodge, Mountainside guarantees lowest prices.
Check us out on the web at wachusett.com.
Hey, we're in the holiday season, and Wright's Dairy Farm is now accepting holiday orders online at wrightsri.com. Christmas pastry platters, bûche de Noël, and cookie trays, and more are all made fresh to order. Orders need to be placed by December 15th, though. Stop into Wright's Dairy Farm, 200 Woonsocket Hill Road, North Smithfield, for farm fresh eggnog and fresh baked cookies, available daily throughout the holiday season. You can see the full holiday menu at wrightsri.com. Wright's Dairy Farm says, from our farm to your family, happy holidays.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
Have you heard of Scott McGee with Remax Properties? He's been selling real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts for the last 17 years, and you can see that he loves what he does. Scott, as well as his team, take pride in what they call the fair and honest team. No gimmicks. And no, they're not buying your house if it doesn't sell, etc. Just fair and honest real estate. Scott personally works with tons of sellers and buyers and specializes in residential properties as well as commercial. And he's always very fair and offers super competitive rates. Remember, this is probably the biggest move in dollars that you will ever spend or receive. You want to go with a trusted and experienced agent. Scott is fair, honest, and modest, always puts the clients first. And he also dealt with literally almost any situation. You really need to look at your real estate needs as a business. You want to pay and get the right money now so that you're not paying for it later. Trust me. So why not give Scott McGee a call at 401-639-2906. That's 401-639-2906.
All right, it's Coffee and here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here along with attorney Bob Lauder and Sue Tessier McKenzie from the Blackstone Valley Call and Times newspaper. And Sue, time for your first message from the newspaper.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
So we just had our stocking stuffer giveaway contest.
Hooray.
I have not yet contacted the winners. I can announce it here on the radio, and I believe it was announced in the paper, only because I am picking up the last gift certificate this morning. So what the stocking stuffer giveaway was, it's basically gift certificates to all of our advertising sponsors. So it's a great prize. Let's see, we have first place is a Keith Minchillo of Pawtucket. I have Keith's email. And the second place is Deborah Marchesalt of Bellingham. I'm probably not saying that right. But, you know, it's listed as first and second. They are equal winners. You each get one of the, it's not a stocking. It's technically a little mailbox, a holiday mailbox filled with gift certificates.
All right.
So I will be emailing the two of you. I'll be picking up that last gift certificate this morning. So I'll be emailing you shortly to let you know where we can meet, and we can go from there. Also, the Call and the Times, Blackstone Valley Call and Times, will still be in Woonsocket. We will still be on Main Street. Not sure what's going on construction. That's all I can say.
All right. Well, back to the bridge. Do you agree with this? The East Providence, president of the East Providence City Council wants a declaration of emergency from the governor. Is it that bad? Does one of those need to be declared?
Well,
I don't know what the criteria is for a declaration of emergency.
right, but not only that, what is he hoping to accomplish by having a declaration of emergency?
Probably money.
Oh, well, then no. I mean, if having an emergency and you're, I don't know, right now everything happens so quickly that there are no remapped routes yet. There may be, but a declaration of emergency for inconvenience, I don't think.
But
Not a
everybody-
lawyer, Bob, but I'm thinking that's not exactly right.
I would think that when, not knowing the criteria, but having in mind what declarations of emergency have been in the past, such as catastrophic flood damage or things
Yeah.
like that, that involved personal property being damaged. It also required a community to make repairs to roads and surfaces. In this case, the city of East Providence isn't going to be doing any of those things. It is going to have a tremendous inconvenience of having traffic go through the city. It also has the inconvenience of ambulances and things like that, not having its immediate access to downtown Providence and the hospitals there. But I'm not sure where they have a loss of financial funds, that's redundant, municipal funds in the city on that. I don't know.
Well, the city of East Providence says or Dan McKee says they'll be compensated, I guess, for all the extra work to rebuild the bridge. The city doesn't have to pay for it, so
Right.
it's really a state.
Well, they shouldn't
federal
have to
thing.
pay for any traffic detail either. That's another thing that,
That was
they were
another thing I
talking
heard about the
Yeah.
amount of overtime that the East Providence police are going to have to put in.
Exactly.
in
That
terms
should
of
not
traffic.
come from the city of East
Yeah.
Providence.
Then maybe the city does have a financial impact on this. It's
All right.
adverse. I did see something though on the on the television that I don't usually criticize the government here in the state, but this one really seemed unlikely. The governor was asked if he thought there had been any kind of neglect on the part of the Department of Transportation in reviewing the construction of the bridge and its upkeep over the last year or so. And he said no. And yet, from the photographs that you see in the newspaper, it looks as though this has been an ongoing problem for quite a while. You have rusticles coming down from some of the steel structure. You have this pipe that apparently had severed. I would really be concerned about the quality of the inspection and what they were actually inspecting in past reviews of the construction on the bridge, because it doesn't seem likely to me that in the 2 months that elapsed between the last inspection and the time that this was discovered, that this kind of damage could have taken place and not been observed ahead of time. It's
It's tough. None of us are engineers here, so
none of us are engineers. That's true.
Who
And
knows? What we're looking at, what they're looking at. We are looking at the same thing, but they see something completely different than what we see.
You are right. I
So I
could be
don't- I don't
entirely
know.
wrong, but I think it does require a review. And
Well,
I didn't see the government or the Department of Transportation really coming out and saying that they were going to be doing that.
Yeah. All right.
No, they're definitely very adamantly arguing the fact that they inspected in July, we did the right thing, nothing was done wrong. That's like
Yeah.
you're talking about that
Right.
report. That's the
Yes.
same one that I saw. They're very adamantly saying we didn't do anything wrong.
But
Again,
fortunately, we have the voice of wisdom on the other side of
Right.
the table saying, hey, wait a minute.
yeah, but
I
we're
don't usually
looking.
refer to him as voice of wisdom
Well,
too often.
I know,
but-
right? But we're looking at something like you're saying. We don't know what we're looking at. We can
Yes,
see
right.
it's a rusted whatever.
Yeah, should that be
That's
there?
severed.
I don't know.
Yeah, so we don't know, but I also think, like anything else in life, the way things are said and the way things are done, it becomes explain it to the people. Don't just adamantly
Yeah.
disagree with what everybody else is seeing.
Tough to keep
You said
saying
it better
no.
than me.
No, we know what we're doing, and don't question us,
Right.
kind of thing. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Adamantly disagreeing and explain it.
All right. Well, things move along slowly down there.
Slowly. Yes.
The East Providence school system, which had taken the day off, decided they're coming back but only on half days,
I saw
at least for a little while. And the private school over there, St. Mary's Bayview Academy, they're out. They said, okay, let's go on Christmas vacation right now. I'm thinking, well, yeah, but when you come back in January, the problem is still going to be there. So I don't know why taking an extra week off is going to help. Helps congestion, I guess, but
Well, I believe they would probably expecting that the eastbound bridge
Yeah.
is going to have temporary westbound traffic
is.
as well, and that may ease some of the congestion.
all right. Well, we
Okay.
shall see.
But
So
What'd
I
you find, Sue?
just this is kind of funny. I just went into my map and I put in one of my customers that's in East Providence, which is
Yeah.
Prestige Mitsubishi. And according to this, it would only take me 32 minutes to get there
From here.
from here.
All right.
Right now.
All right. It's not bad.
For 17
Well,
miles,
it
32
doubles.
minutes.
Yeah.
Come on.
how much
So-
would it take you to get
Does
back
she
from
not
there?
know? Does Siri not know there's a problem out there? Is my question.
Well, the problem is, if you're going to East Providence, that's probably realistic. Because
but you
that-
still need
that
to go
bridge is-
over the bridge.
Yes, but you're
So-
going eastbound, so
Hold
the,
on, eastbound, right? But didn't they minimize some of the eastbound to let some of the westbound come?
they haven't done that yet, but that's the plan. It's
It
coming
doesn't
back
look
from East
bad.
Providence.
I'm telling you right now, 32 minutes.
Give them a call, Sue. Don't
I'm-
bother driving there.
Right? Oh no, I'm not. I don't need to go there today. But I'm saying that in looking at that, I was expecting a lot longer than 32
all
minutes.
But can your map show you how long it would take to get from East Providence back to here?
Oh, let's do that too. While you're talking, I shall look that up because everything here, what I'm looking at, like it looks like Christmas. Everything's red. You know, the map itself is red.
No matter which alternate route you want, it's red.
Yeah,
And it's
yep.
not good.
And Newport Ave is pretty ugly as well.
All right.
Okay, so while you guys do that, I'm going to figure the opposite way, but
All
not
right.
from there.
We did get a note that was called in. This is on a completely different subject, Bob. This is about the Rhode Island Food Bank. And it says, according to Channel 12, officials at the Rhode Island Food Bank report a 30% increase of the demands from last year.
Wow.
That's what they wrote. Wow, 30%. They're feeding an estimated 78,000 families in the state. This figure seems out of whack. How has this stunning increase happened? Is it the immigrants? Is it just people out of work? Is it more people on welfare? How can this be? This is disturbing. Something's very wrong here. So it's a big increase.
It is a huge increase, yes. I'm glad the food bank's able to respond to it and help those people out. I don't know what the reason for it would be. Yes.
I have an idea. So, when people are faced with these increases, so this can be working people, let's just go
Yeah.
with working people with families. And when you go to these agencies, whether it's 211 or anywhere you go, that if you're making money, X dollars, you can't get help. So places like 211 tell you, well, go to the food bank because that monies that you would be spending on food can help offset other costs. So yes, there are between, immigrants, et cetera, but that's a big part of it because you can't get help. I mean, even myself, with my husband's disability and so on and so forth, and that's why I know that. I said, I can't get any help at all. I'm working, he's on disability, I can't get help. But the guy specifically said, go to a food bank, which I haven't, but go to a food bank because the monies you can save from getting food there will help offset other costs. So that could very well be a big part of, people that are working, they're paying their rent, but they're struggling because everything's tough.
Now, 211 is United Way.
211 is United Way.
So they might be telling a lot more people or go there, and
Yeah.
that's why the increases shot up so high.
Yeah, it
But
could.
I
I mean,
thought-
it could very. And it's not just 211; it's other agencies.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't make $1 million here. But it just becomes a need, and when you really think about it, for somebody that is, just struggling, they're paying their rent, they're doing this, they're paying their electricity, keeping the heat down by wearing, a heavy sweater, and all of those things, you can only offset so much of these rental increases. So by getting at least food does help those people.
I
right.
thought there was still a financial criteria, though.
There is, but not for all of them. Not for
Okay.
all of the food banks, no.
All right, because it's my recollection that the food bank that my parish runs, St. James Church here in Woonsocket, I thought that in order to receive the benefits of the food bank, the recipient had to first be vetted by CCA to see whether or not
Well,
they,
see, and
they qualify.
they may,
And if
they
CCA
may.
says they do,
Yeah.
then the church just hands out
You're
the food.
a private one, so maybe
Right.
the state
Right,
one.
but that you may, that is exactly what he's talking about is 100% correct, but it doesn't apply to all food banks.
Okay,
It
all right.
doesn't apply because you have individual, like you're saying, private ones
Yeah.
that still need to be, because, CCA is still, state funded, organization, but there are different types of programs. And, when you look at everything, the part of the problem is that I myself dealt with, it's okay, you're looking at this dollar figure, but you're not looking at all medical comes out of that, all life insurance comes out of that, everything comes out of that. So at the end of the day, what is my paycheck? That is what has to pay the day-to-day, but that's not considered. And again, for me, and many others, not just, me, but I'm also dealing with the medical on top of all of
Right.
that, such as deductibles and prescriptions and so on. So it just becomes a constant struggle. I mean,
But
there's no way.
I have
no
seen
doubt.
that, Bob, at food pantries where the people go in, and they take care of whoever shows up,
Right.
and they come out with the food that they get from the food pantry, walk right over to their Mercedes, and drive away.
Well, I don't think we have people showing up in Mercedes at St. James. And we have to report back to the federal government what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I know that they have the criteria is established by Community Care Alliance, and if Community Care Alliance says X individual is entitled, great. They come over and we try and fulfill their needs.
Every place is different, right?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to take a break here in the Coffee and program, and more coming your way. And gonna find something here. Can I find it? No. But this segment of the Coffee and program has been sponsored by the Blackstone Valley Call and Times.
For an Allstate agent, providing protection options that fit your life is something they take, well, personally. Allstate agents are committed to learning about your needs and helping customize protection to meet them. From bundling your home and auto insurance with ease to evaluating optional coverage, your Allstate agent can help build an insurance proposal that fits your life. And just as important as learning what you need is learning what you don't. Because helping you get coverage you want with savings you deserve is what Allstate is all about. It's time to get coverage that's catered to you. Are you in good hands? Call Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, two locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. One telephone number, 765-5000. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Allstate Property and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
This weather forecast being brought to you by Unbound.org.
Sunny skies today with a high of 37 degrees. Tonight, mostly clear, overnight low of 27. Friday's weather sunshine and 49. Saturday, mostly sunny and 48. On Sunday, it clouds up with a high of 50. Sunday night, a rainstorm coming in that'll go into Monday with rain and 57 degrees and lots of wind. Then on Tuesday, it starts clearing up, partly sunny skies and 43. And Wednesday, partly sunny and 38.
Currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street, we have sunny skies with 30 degrees. A girl in Kenya dreams of becoming a doctor. An elder in Guatemala dreams of being part of a community. Reach out and change the world, and it will change your own at unbound.org.
Are you looking for solutions to meet your business banking needs? At Milford Federal, the longest-standing community bank in the area, they offer customized solutions for commercial lending, cash management, online banking, and payment processing services. Their business banking team is committed to the growth and success of your business with local decision-making and a relationship-based approach. Let Milford Federal be your banking partner. Visit them at milfordfederal.com today. Milford Federal Bank, our community, your bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender, NMLS number 465956.
Hi, this is Gary Smith. Join me for Do You Remember, Tuesday through Friday mornings at 9:30 here on ON Radio.
It is Coffee and on ON. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joe Callahan here with Bob Lauder, Sue Tesher-McKenzie, and we're joined by John Pagliarini, the tax assessor for the city of Woonsocket. Good morning to you, John. Good morning. Nice to say that again.
Good morning.
There you are. Very good. We're going to get to John in just a second. Bob, it's time for a first message from your law office, please.
Thank you. Good morning. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. I'd like to talk to you this morning about a recent case in the Rhode Island Supreme Court which illustrates the benefit of having an attorney represent a litigant before the court. The case is known as Velbin versus Vargas, and it was decided on December 7th of this year. In this case, the landlord sent to the tenant a notice of termination of tenancy, and once the tenant failed to vacate, the landlord began eviction litigation in the district court. In defense of the litigation, the tenant claimed that the landlord was evicting her because she had threatened to call code enforcement officials about the condition of the apartment. After trial in the district court, the case was appealed to the Superior Court, where the parties entered a consent decree granting possession of the apartment to the landlord and continuing the issue of damages to a later date. Thereafter, the attorney for the landlord was allowed to withdraw from the case, and the landlord proceeded on her own. The landlord was dissatisfied with the ruling in the Superior Court and took an appeal to the Supreme Court. However, the landlord did not know the rules of civil procedure and failed to order for the Supreme Court a transcript of the hearing held in the Superior Court, and that hearing was integral to her appeal. The Supreme Court was pretty abrupt. She failed to provide the transcript. There was nothing for the Supreme Court to review. The landlord lost her appeal. If the landlord had been guided by legal counsel, the outcome may have been entirely different. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please call my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer, the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob. Thank you very much. I mentioned this to Bob, Sue. My daughter's a senior in high school, so we're applying at colleges. So she sent to, not me, she is, but she applied to 7 different schools in all of Massachusetts. So 4 state colleges, 4 public colleges, I should say, and 3 private colleges. The state colleges are much quicker in their doing their acceptance, so she got accepted to all 4 of the public colleges. So now we're waiting for the private schools to come back. They always take a little longer. They even tell you that. We start making our decisions after December 15th and like that. But she heard from one yesterday, one of the private ones, and it's a Merrimack College. Said she was accepted to this one, and then it sent her an email on this, and the regular stuff will come in the mail as well. But this is the amusing part. They also tell her, and congratulations, we're going to give you $31,000 as a scholarship for all 4 years if you come here. I'm like, fantastic. You know how much it costs to go there? $79,000. Wow. So we're still looking at $45,000 to come up with. Now, we haven't filed for the federal financial aid yet because you can't yet. The form is not ready. The government's still working on it. So we're like,
Now, when the tax assessor is coming out to see your house,
yes,
does this have any kind of impact on what's going to be going on?
I'm putting more holes in my house when the tax assessor comes out.
Good. Nobody wants me.
All right, John Pagliarini, the tax assessor for the city of Woonsocket. Thanks for joining us here on the Coffee and program. So, how long have you been the tax assessor?
February 27th of this year.
Of this year, okay. Yeah. And have you been a tax assessor in other communities?
West Warwick for 2 years, town of Bristol for almost 7 years, and then private practice as an attorney on the other side of the counter for over 20 years.
Oh, so he's one of you, Bob.
Yeah, but he's moved on to better things.
Why haven't you moved on to better things, Bob?
Not smart enough.
All right. So, and what kind of law did you like to practice?
Cottage industry. As the disclaimer said, we don't
I know you don't
specialize in
specialize,
anything,
so
but
a little bit of everything.
Ad valorem property tax law, and I have a master's degree in community planning. So I would do a lot of planning and zoning law.
All right.
Great.
Are you up on that, Bob?
No.
Go see John. All right. Well, you got to be good at things, right?
I hope so.
All right. So, in a nutshell, explain, John, what does the tax assessor do?
Okay. The city assessor is charged with valuing all what we call rateable property in the city, anything that is taxable, and deeming what is not taxable. The total in the city of Woonsocket is about $3.5 billion worth of assets. So every 3 years, it's my responsibility to put a value on each piece of property in the city. We no longer value motor vehicles, but that was in the past, and all business, tangible, personal property, which this year, the forms will be going out in about 2 weeks. And the General Assembly passed legislation earlier this year that the first $50,000 of value on every business will be exempt from taxation for 2024. The state will be reimbursing the city of Woonsocket for that lost revenue.
Okay.
So I have about 1,100 business accounts in the city. I'm estimating probably about 600 to 700 of them will pay zero tangible tax this year.
Wow.
Now, does that count their, I just lost the word, their inventory?
Inventory's been exempt for about 15 years now, so we don't tax things like new cars or the food on the shelves at a supermarket or anything at any stores. We used to do that, but that got phased out about 10, 15 years ago.
Good.
Do you physically go out and visit all of the businesses?
I try.
Yeah.
I
How many can you get to in one 8-hour
Well,
day?
To physically go in a new business, the answer is yes. An existing business, what I did towards the end of November is I do a spreadsheet of every business in the city, and I drive by them to make sure that they're still there
Okay.
and see if they're not, who moved in, if anybody. So I try.
All right. And what about the residents? Do you assess the taxes on people's homes?
Sure.
You do, okay.
If you pull a building permit,
Yeah.
I will visit the property. I may not go in depending what it is. If you pull a building permit for a new roof, I'm not going to change your valuation. If you pull a building permit for new windows, I'm not going to change your valuation. If you pull both, now you have my attention.
All right.
If you pull a permit to finish a basement, remodel something, I'm going to knock on your front door and ask to see the improvements.
Good to know. I just put a new roof on my house.
Recently, there was an article about nonprofits in the city, and the city seems to be changing their attitude with regard to taxing nonprofits.
Yes. What happened was in 2019, most of the pilot programs, the payment in lieu of tax programs, expired, and they were maintained on the tax roll paying about 25% of their full taxes. When I came in, short of a council resolution telling me that they should be exempt or at 25%, I raised them all to 100%. And obviously got their attention, and
sure.
they petitioned the city council, and the 6 or 7 social clubs in the city were granted a 5-year payment in lieu of, as of 23, starting at 50% and will end at 75% over the 5 years. Currently pending is CCA and Connecting Children for Families have petitioned the council for relief. The council heard them about 2 weeks ago, and there has been no decision yet on what, if anything, the council's going to.
What about
provide to them.
churches? How do they?
Churches
fall?
are 100% exempt
Oh, okay.
by state law,
Oh, all right.
as are federal buildings, state buildings, etc.
So like police station, fire stations too?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
They do not pay.
Okay. Let's see. What other? What made you want to get into this line of work?
Well, when you're young and you say, I want to be a policeman or a fireman, I want to be a tax assessor.
Yeah.
No,
Who says that?
Right?
it was a happenstance. It was back in the late 80s, and I was a realtor, and the economy took a downturn, and I had questions for a listing of mine, and they said the tax assessor just retired. And I was like, well, what's it take to be a tax assessor? And the charter requirements in West Warwick at the time were a 4-year business degree and a broker's license.
Oh, there you
And
go.
I was the only applicant who had them. And
Wow.
I was in my mid-20s at the time, and it started me off on this career.
Great.
Are you a one person show in your office, or are there?
No,
others?
I am the only one who does the valuation,
Yeah.
but I have a very senior clerk who's been there 21 years and 2 other clerks.
Okay, very good.
Now, the city did a revaluation in more detail a few years back, where everybody in the city was reevaluated, weren't they?
Correct. By state law, the city does a revaluation every 9 years, and then in the subsequent year 3 and year 6, you do what's called a statistical update, where we do not go out and visit the homes that we did in the main revaluation. But what we do is we look at all conveyances for the past year and a half, and we recalculate all the square footage tables and pricing tables and assign new values. We will go out and inspect any property that did convey, but we will not go to the rest of the city.
When's the next full evaluation coming up?
The next December 31st of 24 is our next statistical update, the final on this cycle. The next revaluation will be December 31st of 27.
Okay.
But actually tomorrow, December 15th at 10 a.m. is the bid opening on next year's statistical update vendor.
So you already have those that have come in.
I am aware that there's probably 2 bids. Revaluation companies have been victims also of this economy, getting help, and I would be surprised if there were 3.
Okay.
There's only, I think, 6 licensed companies in the state.
Gotcha.
Oh, wow.
All right, we got to take a break, and Bob's going to get off to court, so we're going to get him his second message, and then we're going to say goodbye.
Thank you.
So go ahead, Bob.
Thank you. Good morning. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. The second case I'd like to discuss with you this morning involves the obligation of a court to appoint alternative legal counsel once the individual before the court has rejected previously appointed legal counsel. The case is entitled In re Bryce T., and it was decided more than 20 years ago. In the Bryce case, the Department of Children, Youth, and Families filed a petition in the family court to terminate the rights of the parents. The family court appointed an attorney to represent one of the parents. On the day the case was scheduled for the trial, the court-appointed attorney told the judge that the parent wanted to dismiss the attorney and proceed on her own. The judge entered into a lengthy colloquy with the parent, explaining the expertise of the attorney and the benefit of having an attorney. The parent persisted in her request, and the court continued the case for a trial at a month later and provided the parent an opportunity to provide legal counsel. When the case returned to the court a month later, the parent had not secured legal counsel and asked the court to appoint another attorney for her. The court refused to appoint another attorney, and the case proceeded to trial, and the parent lost the case. The parent appealed to the Supreme Court, and the issue became whether or not the family court, after having provided the first legal counsel, was compelled to provide a second legal counsel. After hearing thereon, the Supreme Court ruled that while it would have been appropriate for the judge to have the appointed first legal counsel remain as standby to advise the parent of its legal procedures, it was not wrong for the court to deny her a request for a second court-appointed legal counsel. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please call my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer: the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
You just can't stop people from being stupid.
Yeah. I see videos on YouTube every once in a while about people who decide they're going to represent themselves instead of having legal counsel.
I'll save some money and I'll do it myself.
Well, it's not necessarily save money, because if you're indigent, the court will appoint one for you for free. And yet people will still decide they're going to represent themselves. Not a good situation.
I mean, I'm sure there are cases down through the history that where someone who's not a lawyer has won.
Oh, I'm sure they have.
I'm sure but it's got to be less than 1%.
It's, well, if you're going to be doing surgery on yourself or giving yourself a haircut, nobody gives themselves a haircut. You get a professional to do it.
Right.
Yeah. Get a professional to help you.
And even when they say, look, we really strongly suggest you get a lawyer. And even the TV shows tell you that. They show you that. Even and judges on TV shows say you got to get a lawyer. And people say, no, I don't think so.
You're right.
All right. Anyway. Well, Bob, thank you very much for coming in.
Hope to see you next week.
Very good. We'll see you
then.
Good
to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Bob.
I'm not going to tell you my address at all.
I know it. I have ways.
Oh, darn.
He's got people in his office, Bob. More Coffee Hands coming up. Stay tuned.
Thanks.
Krakow Deli Bakery and Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal real special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogi with onions and dirty sour cream, or pick up golubki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported goods. We're open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 9 to 6, Wednesdays 9 to 5, and Saturdays 8 to 5. Follow us on Facebook to learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street in Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery and Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
Hi, I'm Kathleen LaValle at The Honey Shop. Check out our Facebook page at The Honey Shop RI, and there you'll see a whole list of our new classes and lots of fun things to do. You could join us for making limoncello, pizzas, pasta making, cheese making, so many fun things to do and learn.
Thanks, Kathy. Folks, if you love food, you'll love the Honey Shop, right behind the Dunkin' Donuts at Park Square in Woonsocket.
Christmas in New York. The Northern Rhode Island Council of the Arts is hosting a bus trip to New York City on Saturday, December 16th. We'll get you to New York, and the day is yours. See the sights, visit a museum, see a show, whatever you like. The day is yours. Tickets are $90, and the bus will leave from the St. Anne Arts and Cultural Center parking lot at 5:30 a.m. For more information or to reserve your seats, email nrica@nrica.org or call Sharon at 401-767-7432.
All right, we're back on Coffee and this is Joe Callahan. Bob Lauder had to go. Sue Tesser-McKenzie from the Blackstone Valley Call-in-Times is here as well, and we're with John Pagliarini. He is the tax assessor for the city of Woonsocket. And do you have a contract with the city of how long you're employed, or is it just at will?
At will.
At will. So whenever you feel like going, or whenever they feel like, okay, John, please leave, kind of thing, it can happen at any time. Okay. I was just wondering. Now, today's a big day in the city of Woonsocket. Last day of tax amnesty. So explain what that means.
The General Assembly passed enabling legislation saying that city councils could pass what's called the tax amnesty plan. The city council, Councilman McGee actually was the sponsor of it, did pass the ordinance, and it began on, I believe, September 15th, and it ends today at 4:30. And what that does is we sent out over 5,000 letters of delinquent motor vehicle and tangible business personal property accounts.
Pay attention to this, Sue.
And
Yeah, 'cause I'm in trouble.
anybody who pays in full the delinquent amount by the close of business today, the entire interest will be waived out.
Well, that can help some.
Some of the numbers are staggering.
Oh, I'm
and
sure, yeah.
It's interesting because motor vehicles, people are transient in their lives. And, I didn't know that I owed this bill from 15 years ago. And, Merry Christmas from the tax assessor.
Yeah.
That's
Sue?
me. Yeah. So I owe money. So I had gotten a yellow notice from the state. So I called the number that was listed, left a message. Called it a couple times, more than once. And still no reply, no phone call back. So I did just get another one the other day. So now what you're saying, because I got to be honest, I did not read it. It's not telling me anything. I am not disputing owing taxes on a car. That I can tell you. But I have no idea how much.
Right.
Because
Wow.
you're not, there's no amount.
It's interesting because Rhode Island DMV sends out these yellow letters
Yeah.
without telling the municipalities that they're going out. And all of a sudden we see this influx of foot traffic at the counter saying, I got this letter. Okay, it's yellow. We know it came from DMV, but they don't tell you what it's for,
Exactly.
how old it is.
But you have to pay it at City Hall?
You do.
Okay.
And there's a lot of them are inappropriate letters in that they've been satisfied, but the block is still on. And that's what DMV wants is they're saying you have a block on your registration. So some of them have been paid and satisfied, but the block remains, at which point I will send an electronic block release, and I usually get it back within a working day.
So the city or the municipality has to send that to the DMV to get rid of it. All right.
If you come in and satisfy, you do owe a bill and you satisfy it, the treasurer's office can give you a physical stamp on a piece of paper.
All right.
I can also send it electronically and get a
But-
response back.
But you just said that if it's paid today,
Today,
then you eliminate
interest.
interest.
Right. So if your bill, I can give you a number. Let's say the bill's 15 years old and it was a $900 bill. It could have $2,000-3,000 of interest accrued on it.
Wow.
It's substantial. So we would waive that interest amount.
Well, we
So-
know where I'm going. today.
So you've gotten these letters before from the DMV,
Yes,
and
two.
so
I got two.
so you bring it to the treasurer's office at City Hall, and they have a way of figuring out how much is owed.
Correct.
All right. So a lot of people must get a lot of sticker shock at that point if they're told.
Well,
because it's not going to be probably not going to be $100.
I think the bigger surprise for most people is that they owe something that's
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not
what
surprised.
I call
let
an
me
aged account.
I'm not surprised. I just don't, because I always made a point, the quarterly and so on, and I think the biggest confusion for most people is, I know it's 2023, but you're paying taxes for 2022, and that's always been a confusion for many people. So I know. I mean, I have no. But I shouldn't be an exorbitant amount of money, if I'm saying that word right.
And the good news is there is no more motor vehicle taxation.
Right.
After 21 was the last year.
Yeah.
So
no more of these yellow letters, right?
Right.
Will be going out.
Well, I know where I'm,
Heading
going
to.
today.
All right. So when you'll be opening up the bids for revaluation, when revaluation starts, do people have a way to appeal whatever their revaluation is?
yes, and you and I will become close friends as we get
good.
closer. I will be here frequently. I have a feeling. Yes, what'll happen is maybe February, March of 2025, new values will go out, and then there will be what's known as an informal appeal process with the revaluation vendor, whoever they may be, and then the bills will go out in July, and then the formal process begins direct to me and then to the Board of Review if you're still aggrieved according to the terms of the law.
I see. Now, in terms of the reevaluation vendors, you said there's only 6 licensed ones in the state. Do you have a working relationship with all 6?
Some are there in name only, but yes, when I go to the quarterly assessors meetings, the 3 or 4 primary ones they know who we are.
Now, can a consumer get their own evaluation from one of those if they dispute I mean, right now values are crazy. And it's bringing up the rents, and it's bringing up the mortgages, and it's bringing up everything. So if you go to somebody's house and you evaluate, I'm just going to use numbers, $100,000, and they're disputing that, saying, no, it's actually only $75,000. And again, I'm only using numbers. I know those were stupid numbers. How does that work? Is that something that they have a right to do?
Everybody has the right to appeal 90 days from the day the first quarter is due. So this year, the appeal period ended on October 26th, and you have the right. We do a mass appraisal at my office. We value the entire city. You have the right to do what's known as a fee appraisal, where you hire a local appraiser. And the one thing that people have to be aware of is that whatever year my revaluation was done in, so if I did my last reval December 31st of 21, your appraisal has to be as of that date, not today's date, because I'm valuing your house in a benchmark year of December 31st of 21. So you have to do your appraisal as of that date, because what has the market in Woonsocket done in the past 2 years?
Right.
It's just skyrocketed.
Right.
Yep.
All right. In terms of people that have never gone through this, when revaluation begins, do the vendors, do they actually come into your home, or are they outside looking around your property?
This is a statistical update. The only persons that will be asked possibly for entry would be people whose houses were purchased in maybe the last 6 months of this year and all of 24.
Okay. All right. Well, it's not too evasive.
No.
Invasive, I should say.
Right.
And a lot of it now.
Evasive, though.
Yeah.
That was a Freudian slip.
A lot of it can be done now through a lot of aerial phototelemetry. The reval companies can look at these pictures and see what's in the backyard and et cetera. So it's not as intrusive as it has been in the past.
So they go to Google.
It's possible.
Google Photos.
Right.
Possible.
and see what's going on. All right. Let's see. We only got a few more seconds to go here. So remember, the last day for tax amnesty is today. You just got to come down to City Hall,
Yes.
and see if you can get rid of a lot of your interest rates. And
That is correct.
Pay it by 4:30 sometime today. I think you're gonna be busy down there today.
Hopefully.
Collecting all this money. All right. Thanks for listening to the program today, everyone. It's been a pleasure having you here. Thanks to Bob Lauder, who came in earlier today. Sue Tessie McKenzie, Blackstone Valley Call and Times. Thanks for coming in.
No problem. Thank you. Have a great rest of the week.
Stay out of East Providence.
Oh, yeah.
Stay out of Newport Avenue if you can.
Well, I checked the return. The return would have been an hour, but it's still not bad. I mean, in consideration of what's going on,
Yeah, okay.
I was expecting to see it a lot
A lot
higher.
higher. All right. John Pagliarini, tax assessor for the city of Woonsocket. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll have you back a lot more often, as you say, as this process gets going. All right. I'm Joe Callahan. Have yourself a great day, everyone. Stay tuned for Gary Smith and the crew. Do you remember it's coming up at 9:30. Milk Fund Auction at 4 this afternoon.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news. Central Falls City Councilor Kevin Kazarian was arrested last Saturday night. Police say that he displayed erratic behavior during a wellness check at his home. According to authorities, Kazarian was arrested